Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another super cool radio interview. I'm your host, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have some great guests joining me at this time who I'm excited to have on the podcast. On February 21st, modern rock band Aeternum released their latest single entitled Voodoo Doll, and on April 2nd, will tour in support of A Killer's Confession. Please welcome Aeternum.
Hey.
Hello.
Very nice to have you guys on the podcast. I will introduce everyone, see if I did my homework correctly. So on vocals, we have Kayla.
That's right.
On bass, we have Cam.
Yep.
And on drums, we got Chris. Fantastic. I did all my homework correctly, so now we can end the interview. I'm going to go home now.
That's a wrap.
Yeah. But I know, as I mentioned in the intro, you guys have some exciting things for 2025. But before we start jump into all of that, so I'm curious for you guys. I read you guys formed in 2023. So, how'd that all come together?
I think Cam is going to answer that the best. He's kind of been around for the longest, and so I'm going to throw that over to you, Cam.
Yeah, I'm the new guy, so I don't know.
There's a story I've been telling lately that, to me, a lot of times starting a band kind of feels like drawing something from the lottery. They got that machine that's just spinning around with all these balls, and they'll run into each other. Two or three might bump into each other, and then eventually they start pulling one out at a time. And that's what I felt like this band's kind of come from, is that sort of scenario. It started, and there's just so many members coming through, and then at one point somebody kind of stuck around longer, and then at another point somebody else kind of stuck around longer, and so forth, until here we are.
Yeah.
I want to say we've probably had even before my time almost 10 guitar players in the band.
Wow. So this current lineup for you guys, how long have this current lineup been together?
October, I think, something like that. September, October last year.
Yeah.
I think that's
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So, obviously, in the last couple months. So, I'm curious. So now moving into 2025, as I said, you guys have a new single that you guys released, which is Voodoo Doll. So for anyone who has not checked it out, hasn't listened to it yet, what can they expect musically and lyrically from the single?
I think that, actually tying into what Cam said, it took a lot of experimenting and different members and whatnot. And the same is true for our sound. But over the past 6 months, I'd say we have just really gotten a clearer vision of what it is that we're trying to create. And Voodoo Doll is when those numbers perfectly lined up in my head, because it's this driving energy that just every time it just kind of makes you want to listen to it again. It's this perfect loop is how I would say. I feel that's what it encapsulates, and it also kind of gives a good idea of the energy that we're trying to bring, both on our records and in our live shows too. And so I was so stoked that we could release this song before we go on tour, because I feel it really is a great representation of who we are. So yeah, go listen, stream it everywhere.
Yeah, that's one of the really fun in the studio, and it was one of the first ones we did where even though it wasn't finished yet, it was already stuck in my head, as we're leaving that.
Super fun to play live too.
Oh yeah, super good.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I've been obviously listening to it in preparation for this interview, and definitely that repeat, kind of value of it, that I kept listening to it, because you pick up on some different things after each listen. So that's what I really like about it. And it's also just a really great hard rocking song as well.
Yeah, I have to shout out Jose, who is not here because he's not feeling too good. But I have to shout out Jose because he kind of has made the skeleton of every song we've ever done, in the sense of he will bring us the ideas, that he comes up with instrumentally. And, he has a lot of experience too with taking taking our, not necessarily critiques, but like as we're trying to refine what the sound is that we want to kind of be making, I feel like when we all heard Voodoo Doll before we were ever in the studio and before lyrics were ever written, it was like, oh, hell yeah. Like we just had a super good feeling about it. And so just have to give props to him because he's really been like I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I just feel like Voodoo Doll is definitely like, he started that idea, and I'm just so happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, he's a bit of a evil genius. You'll be talking
That's the
to him, and like just something gets planted in his head from some random conversation, and then like, you know, a day or two later, he's like, "So I had this idea, and like I kind of like made a whole song out of it."
Yeah. And I will say that he has this line that's like my favorite thing to hear him say, but you know, we'll be walking out of the studio. This probably happened like 4 or 5 times because, you know, we have Voodoo Doll and almost their release, but we basically have a catalog of music that we are ready to share and are just kind of slowly doing that. And so with a lot of the other songs as well, I have memories of leaving the studio and hearing Jose be like, well, that is not how I expected it to turn out. And it's so much better, you know? And so he's like, it can be hard to bring your song and your idea and like let people do whatever they want with it. But he's put a lot of trust in us and vice versa. So it's been super cool for us all to like have our own way of shaping the song.
So I'm kind of curious, kind of going along with that. So like, what is like a little bit more like detail? What's like the writing and recording process like for you guys?
So, oh, sorry, I don't want to hog. Can I take this one, guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I will say that, yeah, overall, I feel like we have everybody involved in a different way. And so it starts with Jose, like we talked about, and then we go into the studio with our producer, Scott. Something I love is that we have yet to write a song that everybody's not present for, you know? So even if somebody's taking the wheel on one specific element, it's really, everybody's opinion does matter. And I remember, you know, Cam has had a lot of moments where he's just like, what if you said this instead? And I'm like, damn, Cam, you're kind of a lyrical genius right now. Like he's taken me by surprise with that too. So I would say that like lyrically, I maybe have the most ideas, or like I come in with all these scattered ideas, and the guys have really helped be like, okay, how can we make this work? And Scott Wilson, our producer, has been a huge hand in that. And he has basically his signature over every song that we've done so far. And it's really been awesome and given us this like sense of consistency while also allowing us to like figure out and experiment with our sound. I will say that like, I also, sometimes I'll leave the studio and I'm like, how is it that Chris can go in there and go to like track the drum part? And I'm like, why did that take him like 10 minutes while I'm sitting there with all these lyrics? And I'm like, okay, I need to make this work. But no, it's a messy, but really amazing process. And yeah, anything y'all want to say about it, feel free to.
I guess for me, I mean, Jose and I have known each other, I think 13, 14 years at this point. We met in Virginia together, or we were in Virginia together when I met him. And then we both came to Colorado separately, but we've been musically kind of intertwined, or lottery balls. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bouncing around here and there in different bands and stuff like that. But him and I have a lot of the same kind of musical styles, and he's played drums. So for me, I like being in bands with one of the primary guy that's writing understands the instruments that he's writing for. Like he can play anything, he can sing anything. So it's really cool to just sit down with him and go, okay, this is what he originally had in mind for drums. Let's have a conversation, and there's not any egos or whatever. We'll make fun of each other the entire time, and what's best for the song is what we'll end up doing, and then I'll figure out how to play it.
Yeah.
On a fun song than the other songs we're crying on, but
yeah. Yeah.
I feel like the ego part is like a huge reason that we've made, you know, the progress that we have, and that we have the year coming up that we do. It's very humbling and exciting, but so much of that I think has to do with all of us, you know, being willing to learn and yes, experiment, but also take criticism and not take it personally. And I really don't feel like we are a band with a head person and, you know, the background. It feels like we are really a unit, and I'm excited to like propel that moving forward because, you know, all of us really, at least I feel like I couldn't switch out anybody in the band and make the same thing that we're doing now. It feels like a really, you know, a team collaboration. Of course we get, you know, on each other's nerves, and I am the youngest and only woman of the group, so we have our differences, but honestly, it just like fuels the fire, and it's been really awesome. It's like a big weird group project.
Well, I'm really glad everything has been going, you know, well for you guys. You guys, you know, work, you know, very well, as you said, as a unit. I'm happy to hear that because obviously I've interviewed some like other bands and stuff, and then like you can tell like there is one person in charge and they're making all the decisions, and you can kind of tell like other people are just not as excited about it. So I'm glad for you guys that you guys are all, you know, collaborating together to make obviously some really great music because I've enjoyed Voodoo Doll. So I'm kind of curious. You talked about other music you guys are working on. Can you give any hints of like the music you guys have been working on that's not released yet?
Yeah, if you don't mind me going here,
Yeah.
there's one that Kayla came into the studio, and we had Jose had a lot of instrumentation done already, and then Kayla was like, "Hey, I got this idea, and like I don't know if you guys are gonna like it, but like, what if we took this children's game and like kind of wrote a song around it?" And it's like one of my favorite songs to play live, and like honestly, every time we do a new song, it's like my new favorite song of ours. So like as we progress and start releasing more and more stuff, like I just keep getting more and more excited.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing some more new music from you guys. But that also does kind of lead me. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, you guys will be touring in support of A Killer's Confession, starting on April 2nd. So like with that, like how's it feel to be touring? You know, obviously, you know, with A Killer's Confession, like how does it feel for you guys?
So been a huge Mushroom Head fan for many years. I remember when one of their singers left, me being real nervous, being like, I don't know if I'm going to like this new guy. Heard Waylon come in, and he was just awesome. It was like I couldn't think of anybody better to like fill that slot. And then you know he started Killer's Confession, and it's like, oh wow, this is like great too. Like this guy just does a whole lot of great stuff. So really looking forward to like you know like doing a tour for one, but also like touring with them because been looking up to these guys for a long time. Really enjoy their music.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I can't wait. I love touring. I can't wait to go.
Yeah, I think like also it's going to bring a interesting dynamic. I've kind of been saying this, you know, that people who are going to these shows are likely going to be long-term fans, and you know, they know what they're walking into in some sense, and they're like super loyal, and then they maybe see our opening act and it's like we're bringing this new children game, you know, rock energy, and it's like what the hell is going on? But I'm like, I think that really brings an interesting element to it because you're mixing this like sense of a nostalgic fan base with, you know, what we are, which it's hard to put in a couple of words, but kind of going back when you were asking for like hints to the future of our music, I feel like our live performance is like all the hints you would need because we are playing unreleased music along with the songs we've put out as well. And so that's super exciting too because it's like we're going to already have so many memories and so many different shows that we've played these songs with when we get to release them. But kind of going on both those questions there, I'm so honored to be playing with them. And yeah, I'm kind of also happy too because I feel like, you know, people might want to see something new and then they'll see what they love at the end. So it'll be like, perfect.
I definitely think so. I think it's an awesome opportunity for you guys. I've interviewed Waylon before. I had him on the podcast. Such an awesome dude, and just like a whole, just the mind for music as well. He's just really awesome. Like we had a really great conversation, and he's just so cool.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my old guitar players when we announced the tour, and I was letting him know, and he said, "Oh, you're playing with them? Like Waylon's such a nice guy. Like that's like perfect for you guys to jump on with him."
Yeah, we have a lot to learn from them too. It's super cool to be on the same bill.
Oh, for sure. But I hope everything goes well for you guys. So like, I'm curious. A fun question because I know the tour's a little bit lengthy. I think it's a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. I'm not exactly sure.
Basically a full month.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we leave on April 1st, and we probably won't get home until about the 28th or 29th, something like that.
Okay, so close to a full month. So I'm curious for each of you. So when going on tour, what are 3 things outside of you and your instrument that you're going to take on tour?
Little product placement, like I always make sure everybody else has to bring poopery, I guess. Sandals.
Oh wait, I have to speak for Jose because this has been what he has said so many times. He's like, guys, we need to be wearing flip-flops and sandals in the hotel because I don't want your feet to be smelling. He's like convinced that if we wear sandals and let our feet breathe enough before we get into the hotel, that it's going to be better. So I just had to speak on his behalf.
Yeah, his are going to smell worse than everybody's.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, you seem to be real concerned about the feet situation. Like, you're making me nervous. Like, okay. So funny. I will be bringing, I'm a Sudoku addict, and I will be bringing Sudoku. And Jose's wife actually put me on, so I have to shout her out. But Sudoku all the way, in the car, before the show. That's what I'm doing. I'm an old woman. And I'm proud of it.
Yeah,
He's going to be knitting next.
Said 3. Name 2 other ones.
2 other ones? Okay. I'm going to be bringing peanut butter because I love peanut butter. And I'm going to be bringing
Celery.
probably like noise canceling headphones. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kim.
Well, yeah, I already threw 2 out. I mean, I'm also like, I'll be bringing some kind of multimedia, like whether it be movies, video games, or whatever, just to help pass the time.
I'm going to bring a little MIDI keyboard because I like to write on the road. A lot of Dr. Pepper.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I might have a problem, and then
We're gonna nail these brand deals.
I'm thinking that right now.
Yeah, I need a sponsorship, and not really so much bringing as I've been sending them a list. I need to find all the comic book shops in all the cities so I can go buy stuff.
Cool. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Not so much taking as it is bringing home.
I like it. All right, so now,
Matthew, what would you bring on tour? I have to ask you. I'm so curious.
All right, well, I haven't been officially on tour, but I do a lot of traveling for interviews and festivals and stuff. So I will not count my my audio and video equipment. I would not count that.
That's like your instrument, basically.
Yeah. I would say definitely Wild Cherry Pepsi. Always have that in my cooler.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Yeah, that's definitely number 1. I would say, what else would I bring? Well, obviously I bring my Super Cool Radio shirts and hats, but I'm not going to count that either.
Sponsor yourself. That's perfect.
Yeah. But also what I do, so everyone I interview in person, I give them a little Super Cool Radio gift bag. So I always have that kind of stuff with me. But fun stuff, I would say I always look for cool novelty shops to go to. There's one in Chicago that I like that was called the Horror House that I like to go to. They have all different horror collections and shirts and all that stuff. So I always look for stuff like that, the fun things to go while it's not just business related. I get to actually have fun.
Yeah.
So I would say that, and then my pillow. That way I can sleep.
Perfect. I just had to make sure you were prepared. I'm like, what's this guy bringing? Not to steal your thunder. You may.
I'm usually underprepared for things. One time I went to a festival in Michigan, and which, by the way, it was very fun, and I had a great time. But it was August, mid August, and it was 55, 60 degrees and pouring rain. And when I left my house, it was 65, 70. Travel an hour and a half, and it is now pouring rain and 55 degrees. I can tell you, I did not have a jacket with me.
Oh my God.
So I have learned to be prepared for that. But I mean, the festival was great. They treated me really well. It was fun to be there, but I was definitely cold.
Okay. Hey, learning lesson, man. I'm going to bring an extra jacket in your honor.
Yeah, especially if you're traveling through the Midwest, you never know.
Speaking of festivals, if you can't catch us on tour, we'll be playing Bratfest this year.
Great segue. Great
Had to
segue.
throw that in.
Yeah.
Very nice. I like
Yeah.
that.
I believe that's May 22nd. Is that right?
I think it's a 3-day, and I think we're on the 24th. I might be wrong, but something like that. It's
Okay.
the Saturday that I think that we're on. I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're so excited to be playing that. And I'm like, it's gonna be a crazy 2 months, but man, kind of like they were saying, couldn't imagine doing it with people I didn't like. So this is gonna be good.
Well, obviously, Jose doesn't like us. He's not here.
Oh, I know. We're here talking about his great musicianship, and he's probably just off in Wonderland.
He's
somewhere.
starting another.
Yeah. It's all right. We
He's
still like
starting
him even if he doesn't like
project,
us.
Yeah. No, I'm stoked for Breakfast. I love playing festivals like that where it's 3 or 4 different stages in a giant space and so many people. I love that. It's a blast.
Yeah. And I
I'm gonna
have
puke on stage. Brats are like my favorite food, so I'm gonna have way too many and just
You get to eat
come back
after
out.
the show, not before.
Oh my God. I have to say one thing too, when we found out that we were going, honestly, so I've done a lot of different genres in, my music career, and rock has been more experimental for me and a little bit newer, but I was like soothing myself and I was like, dang, a whole festival, feeling a type of way about it. But I'm like, honestly, the energy that we have like cultivated through these songs and in the way that we're performing them and, the way we are on stage together and our comfortability on stage, like our energy can fill a really big crowd. And I'm excited to like kind of push beyond just the walls of even if it's an awesome venue, we haven't played outside yet. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be like the speakers will be blaring and everyone will feel that driving thing that I can hear in my in-ears. And I'm like, I feel totally ready, as a band, not just myself, but like as a band, I think our energy is like big and loud enough to suffice. Yeah. So I'm stoked.
Oh, for sure. And definitely, obviously I've covered shows and music festivals. It's always just a different vibe with a music festival.
Mhm.
Like it just has a, uniqueness to it.
It was like a big party.
Exactly. Very good description.
Yeah.
Like many festivals. I can't wait for this one.
Me too.
But kind of going along with that, I got one more fun question and we'll be wrapping this interview up here pretty soon. But I'm curious for all of you guys, what is your favorite song to perform live?
It's got to be Voodoo Doll.
It's hard to pick between your kids, man. But really, one of my favorite ones is the I'll just call it the Child's Play one for now. You'll if you come to the show, you might actually figure out the name.
I'm going to go with one that we haven't released yet, but I love Broken Record. It's kind of the ballady kind of song, but for me, even though it's not crazy drum wise, my soul just leaves my body in that song. So yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So now, as we're closing out this interview, so obviously you guys, have some great plans in the works, really just for the first half of 2025. So I'm curious, like, how is the rest of the year looking like for you guys?
We're trying to talk some people into getting us on another festival, like keep my fingers crossed there. Who knows, maybe we can do like a small tour around it or something, and then a lot more music to come out too.
Yeah, I think like the consistent releases is something to look forward to, and especially if you can make it out to this tour in April or Rap Festa in May, you will get like a taste of what's coming next. But we all are genuinely so excited for like songs to come out, and it's been testing my own patience of like, oh my gosh, I just like want the world to hear it. But that being said, yeah, in the meantime, go stream Voodoo Doll because Matthew liked it and you trust him. He's with Super Cool Radio. So if Matthew likes it, then you guys will like it too. But yeah, I'm excited for this year and just taking it one day at a time before, there's a lot coming up, but I have trust in the band and yeah, we're super excited.
Yeah, I just want to see things keep rolling, more releases, more shows, all that. Yeah.
Very good. I'm very excited to see what you guys have in the works for the rest of this year as well. But now, for everyone watching, where are the best places to find Aeternum online?
Eternummusic.com, AETERNUM music.com.
And all of our social medias are linked on there too, I believe. Or Spotify. or Apple Music. Go find us on there.
Very good. I will also leave some links to the band in the description of this podcast. Please check out and support them. But thank you guys so much for stopping by Super Cool Radio. I had a fantastic time chatting with you all.
Thanks so much, Matthew.
Awesome. Thank
Great
you.
to meet you.
Buddy.
Very nice to meet you guys as well. And for Chris, Kayla, and Cam of Aeternum, I'm your host always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.